hotel room and I'm going to film my Q&A part 1. There's too many questions to do it in one sitting, so I'm going to do it in 2. I kind of tried to divide them up into random questions that I got and then questions about moving. So most of these are kind of random. And then my next video, Q&A part 2, will be a lot of questions people asked about us moving, just different things that I may have already said, so bear with me. Okay, this is part 1. First question, what type of work does Scott do? Scott is not on the internet. He is not on Facebook. He does not like being in my YouTube other than a little bit in Paris. He didn't mind that. But he's a lot more private, so he would not want me to tell you what he does for a living. But I will say he runs a manufacturing plant. That's all I'm going to say. Someone asked, what type am I going to work? Well, that's kind of a Texas question. But anyway, what kind of work am I going to keep working when I get to Texas? No. Someone else asked, are you going to do any kind of like entrepreneur thing? Or are you going to kind of stick with your book? I'm going to see my book through to the end. By the way, it just got to someone to read 2 days ago. I thought it went in February. It just went 2 days ago, so I'm waiting to hear. I do not plan to work in Texas unless something falls in my lap or something, but I don't see that because I'm going to be going to Austin a lot to see my parents, and I'm going to be going to Tampa a lot to see my grandkids and my daughters and my son, unless he comes with us. So I don't have time to work. I have too much going on. And while I liked my job and I really enjoyed it, I totally felt like a fish out of water. I am a homebody. I am a person that likes to be at home. I've been at home my whole married life, so that's just my deal. So no, I'm not going to work unless I, for some reason, have to again, which is fine. I could do that. Someone said, you're so positive and bright. Do you ever have a bad day? If you've watched me very long, you know I've had bad days, because about a year ago I did a vlog or a chat video on the fact that I stayed in bed for 2 days upset about something. That was really horrible. So yes, I have bad days, but since that really bad day, I've had even worse things happen, but I have learned the art of not having a bad day, maybe having a bad hour, and I just pull myself up, because I just can't do that. I hate the feeling. I hate it, hate it, hate it. You might as well just be happy if you can possibly be happy. And everybody has so much to be thankful for. So that's what I focus on, are my blessings. So I have bad days, but I shorten them by just changing my attitude or my thought process. What would you tell yourself, your younger self, when you had little children? Definitely, if I could go back in time, I would let my kids get messier. I would let them be more creative and more artistic, and just let them go hog wild with creativity. I was a little bit too worried about getting finger paint on the couch, stuff like that. I would definitely change that. I would let them get dirtier, messier, and I mean, they played outside, they got dirty. I don't mean that, but I would be more relaxed about that. That's what I would tell my younger self as a mom. Someone asked what else I found weird about Florida when I first moved there. The weirdest thing I found about Florida, and this is only because I came from Texas, I think, is there was no state identity. In Texas, it's all about being a Texan, and you are proud, and you know, I grew up here, so this was the mindset when I left here. Texas is the best state in the union. You can argue with me if you want, doesn't matter. I know the truth. Everyone here that's from here knows it. It's weird. So much state pride. The Texas state flag flies everywhere. And I only saw the Florida flag flying one time, and that was in Tallahassee at the Capitol. So I found that the weirdest part about Florida. No one was proud that they were from Florida. Nobody really said they were from. Nobody seemed to be from Florida, too. So it was just a whole different mindset of state pride. And state identity. I mean, here, every car dealership flies a Texas flag. Every business has a Texas flag somewhere on the window, on the door, inside. I mean, everywhere you see the state flag. In fact, my best friend in high school is an artist, and he designed a T-shirt years and years ago, and it's a big Texas state flag, and underneath it just says home, and it still sells. So anyway, that's what else I found weird about Florida. Someone said they wanted tips on cute and comfy flats. Try them on and make sure they're comfortable before you wear them, before you buy them. And I would also say make sure you get a big enough toe box if you're wearing flats, because those real skinny ones, they're not as comfortable, I don't think. And I think spending a little bit more on flats, although I never have, might pay off. What did I study in college? Journalism. How did I meet Scott? That's a long story. Maybe I'll tell that in another video. If you want to hear how I met Scott, I'll do a whole chat on it. Otherwise, I'll just say I met him at college. Can we meet your children and your grandchildren? My kids have absolutely no desire to be on my YouTube at all. They're probably kind of embarrassed, just like I would have been if my mother had had a YouTube and wanted me to be on it with her. I would have died in my 20s. I would have thought that was so weird. My grandkids, I did a video a long time ago, and it's like my granddaughter does my makeup. If you want to Google that, you can watch it. And in 2 weeks, I'm keeping the grandkids by myself for a week while their parents go on a cruise. So I'm super excited. So maybe I'll vlog a little bit of that adventure. Someone else wanted, I just did a book review, book update. They wanted to know about my book. Some people have not ever heard about it. So if you want to hear about that, there's a video I did called Carpe Diem. So you can look for it in my playlist or something. I don't know what it's called, but I mean, that's what it's called. Okay, I don't know what happened. My camera went crazy. The last question is, when you were working, how did you budget? This is just me. Don't go by what I do, but I have never worked in a parameter of a budget. I don't understand how people do that. My brain doesn't do that, because I can't imagine having, I'm going to spend this amount on clothes a month. I'm going to spend this amount on food and this amount on gas and this, and then when I'm out, I'm out. Well, what if I need gas? I don't understand how people do that. So I've never done that. I've sat down to write it down, and I never write anything down because I don't understand living in that kind of a squelchy kind of a life. But now, if you have problems with money or you can't handle your money, then maybe that works. But for me, it just doesn't make sense to me because I don't know what the month's going to bring. I have no idea, right? So the way I've always worked our finances, and I'm always been in charge of our finances, is the paycheck comes and it already has 401k savings, insurance, health insurance, life insurance, whatever is taken out of the check, it's already gone. So what comes to me is I tithe it, and then the rest is mine to spend because I've already put money in savings. I've already invested in our future, blah, blah, blah. Now, that wasn't our whole life because we used to not have any money to do 401ks, but anyway. So as long as I didn't spend more than I had for the month, I figured that's what you do as long as you're saving, right? So that's all I've ever done. And I've always been, if you can't afford to do it, don't do it. If you have to charge it, don't do it. Now, I do believe charge cards can be very important and beneficial in an emergency if you don't have your savings, your emergency fund set and all that. I do believe that you could, like, if your car breaks down on the freeway and you need to get it repaired and you don't have the savings for that, then I think a credit card could be beneficial for that. We've always used it as an emergency. And we have never been in credit card debt because that would just be horrible. And, if you can't afford to go on a vacation without charging it, then for me, didn't go on a vacation, or you went on a different kind of vacation. Like when we were younger and we didn't have any money, this is how we vacation. My uncle had a condo in Colorado. We'd get in our car, drive to Colorado, stay at my uncle's for free. My parents would be there, and my brother and them would be there. My parents said, we'll buy the groceries for the week for everybody. So basically, we paid for our gas and incidentals. That's how we vacationed when we couldn't afford to go on a vacation. Then when we went to Paris, we could afford to just go to Paris and pay for it. Otherwise, we wouldn't have gone if we had to charge it and pay it off that year. Because what if you have a bunch of emergencies that year and you already have the balance of your vacation and now you're going to add to it and then you're in this spiral of death, and that's just a place I never want to go. So the long answer is I don't ever budget. I just pay attention to what I have and what I can spend, and I just kind of know. Like, I can't imagine saying I have $50 to spend at the grocery store. I mean, I might need $65 worth of groceries, or I might only spend $35. I don't know. I just can't. I can't imagine a budget, but I know it works for a lot of people. The question was asked. That is my answer. That is the end of part 1 Q&A. If you have any more questions, you can leave them, but I'm going to do part 2 as soon as I say goodbye. Goodbye.